Yes, we have our second youth intake of the series. We're going to be going through that in today's episode and conclude the season as well. Nice bit of time for us to get through in today's episode. We're going to start in the middle of April and finish at the end of season review. Welcome back, everybody, to Burton Albion England DNA. Right, let's get into our youth intake. Let's see what we've got. It's not looking great. I didn't read the prediction that it says we think it's going to be this earlier in the season. We're playing this in George's Park, incidentally, in our U18s versus youth candidates. Let's go through the list then. Let's see. Mitchell King is first. Right, okay. Pretty good centre-back, actually. I think that judging on how fast some of the other players have actually looked in a short space of time, he could be quite good. He doesn't look great right now, let's be honest about it, but he almost looks like the centre-back version of John King. I can imagine him playing on the back of our back three. If he didn't get any taller, I would find it hard to use him as a centre-back in the back four, or as a full-back, because he's not really good enough going forwards. But on the side of a back three, that looks about right to me, so not a bad start there. Mika Hartikainen is a goalkeeper from Finland, and he's going to be a new gen goalkeeper. Now, what's really good about him is he's already got good positioning. I always find with goalkeepers, one of the hardest things I seem to get with my goalkeepers is positioning, and it's the hardest thing for them to develop on, I think, or one of them. So him having good positioning early on is really, really good, and it allows us to have a good chance of having him develop into being a useful goalkeeper going forwards. I'm actually really excited about that. I think he could be a good, solid backup goalkeeper for us for the next few years. Okay, Hallam Gruhanier, he could be a good number 10. He's got good finishing for an attacking midfield player, hasn't he? Could be a wing back. He looks okay. I mean, I've skipped a few players because there isn't many players really to show you of note, to be honest. Now, Jerry Wilson could be a good left wing back for us. He plays on the right, but he is left-footed, so I might teach him to play there and see if he gets any better. But yeah, not the best in other areas apart from pace, acceleration. Yeah, I've got to be honest, I just went through the rest of them. That is a really poor intake, really, but I would say that we've got potentially one first-team player out of that, which, I mean, that's good enough. If you can give me one player that I can use in the first team, at least in the sort of short to medium term, I'll be happy with that. I think he could actually be pretty good. His strength is really poor for centre-back, but on the side of a back three, we can get away with that a little more than if it had been us in a back four. So, yeah, looking all right is Mitchell King there. Okay, we won't play this game right now. Just a quick update on the league table. We'll probably come back for maybe the last game of the season and just do that, unless the playoffs are somehow in contention. I was only 7 points behind going into the last game, and then we lost, so we nearly scraped a playoff race, as it were, but not quite yet. Okay, I'll see you in a few weeks for the Bristol City game. We'll conclude the end of season review, and then we'll look at the players' development over the course of the season. Just a quick update as I was going through. We actually got our second contract from Burton. Let's see what they're saying here. They're saying play attacking football, sign players, don't care about that. Play direct football, play counter-attacking football. Okay, not really too bothered about a lot of this. Yeah, that's all pretty much fine. Attempt to survive, basically, every year, still their only objective, which is good for us that the board aren't trying to push us to try and get promotion or anything. So, yeah, at least it says attempt to avoid relegation. So we'll just accept that. Okay, I'll see you for the last game of the season. Right, apologies from me. I accidentally played the last game of the season without realising. I got to the Bristol City game and I completely forgot it was the last game. So I made some changes. I was slowly introducing some of the younger players, and I completely forgot that was the last game. So apologies for that. So there will actually be a game in today's episode. But a quick brief look at how the team ended up. So we ended up doing pretty badly towards the end of the season, but from the Peterborough game onwards, I was slowly introducing more and more backup players, under 18 players, that kind of stuff. Right, so I'm not too bothered about it once the playoffs sort of had gone. So we just sort of finished, sort of lower mid-table, nowhere near the relegation zone. We were 20 points clear of the relegation zone, which is going to be something interesting to beat for next season. I think next season, if we achieve a similar points total, that would be an achievement because our team isn't going to get that much significantly better. Players are developing, of course, but not quite at the same rate. If it was a normal save, you could just buy players to improve the team in this sort of situation. So, okay, so let's have a quick look at the player stats going into the end of season sort of review and into the player development reviews as well. So let's have a look at then. So top goal scorers was Victor and Joe Powell by quite a distance. Lewis Mott third, Winnell fourth, then John King there in fifth, which is pretty good. Assists going to go to Joe Powell, with Smith being second, Victor third. Victor the top goal scorer, and he's the third highest assist maker as well, which is pretty impressive. John King had the second highest shot on target ratio, which is quite impressive, isn't it? He came in and did really, really well this season. I was really impressed with him. If we look at open play key passes per 90, you've got Smith and Powell up there, they're quite high. Carroll's up there, which is interesting. He'll be gone next season. I'm absolutely certain of that. I'd even just like offer him out for like free just to get rid of him. I don't really want to use him anymore. He's not any better than the youngsters we've got. So progressive passes per 90. So what's interesting there is Butcher and Jackson are both pretty high on that. I mean, Hamer's quite good as well, but Sam Hughes and the rest, like Shaughnessy plays on the side of back three as well, and his progressive passes aren't quite the same. And then dribbles per 90, if we then look at that. Again, Hamer's though quite high on that, which is good. Shaughnessy is pretty high on that as well, which is nice to see. So the two side centre backs and some wing backs there are the highest, which makes a bit of sense, doesn't it, for that stat? Let's have a look at who the biggest runners are on the team. Let's have a look at distance cover per 90. We've got Bobby Camwer, Kieran Gilligan's the top two, which is quite interesting. Wing back, you'd expect. Pivot player here, okay. Wing backs again, Terry Taylor, pivot player. Seems like that right sort of CDM role, isn't it? That seems to get a lot of players running up and down, which makes sense because nobody in front of them. And then wing backs again mostly, but that's quite an interesting one to look at. Let's look at high intensity sprints. Camwell Smith's a wing backs there, again pivot player. Strikers are quite low down, aren't they? There's not too many strikers on the sprints. Who played the most minutes? So we can't count the goalkeeper, it doesn't really count there. We'll just highlight Ben Garrett, he doesn't count. But the rest of the players then, so Sam Hughes has played 3,700 minutes, is quite impressive that. Joe Powell 3,500, Johnny Smith's played 3,400, Lakin 3,100, quite a few in there. Who played the least of all the starters? Malt, Gilligan, Taylor. Taylor didn't play too many because he got a couple of injuries. And to be fair, I did sub him off quite a lot. So him and Victor, those two got subbed off every time the game was gone. So either we completely lost the game and there's no way we're going to come back, or we were like 2-3 goals ahead and we took them off. So it's interesting how if you do that over a season, look at the difference between like Victor, Taylor and Lakin. Like Lakin played more minutes than Taylor. That's crazy. What injuries did he have? So he had 3 injuries this season for about 4 weeks in total. How many did Lakin have? Lakin had a 2-week injury, but there's a chance there wasn't too many games there. Maybe that's how he got out of it. But that's quite interesting, that stat, if you look at the minutes played. Okay, then the fun part then. Let's have a look at the players' training development and see who did what this season. Okay, I'm normally in the way for these, aren't I? I'm normally in the way covering the physicals. So we're going to picture up the way so you can actually see this properly. Oh, Sam Hughes will be the first player that we look at. Also, there we go. So Sam Hughes has done pretty good. I think he's improved slowly as a player. He's played really well in matches, of course. If we look at the last 12 months as well, it looks like he's done really well on a couple of things there. Last 6 months, last month, yeah. So he's been pretty good. Again, not maybe changing massively in attributes because he is who he is. I don't think he's going to have too much potential to go crazy in his attribute development, but he's a really good player, especially for the championship and us in our back three. Ben Garrett, I mean, he's just going to be what he is, isn't he? He's going to stay exactly the same as he was in the first season, and that is pretty much going to be him. Callum Butcher, again, all time is a bit low. If you look at the last 12 months, again, he was stagnating a little bit. I guess stagnating is the wrong word. We've stabilised him. He was stagnating, and I think we've stabilised him with our new regime. Oshalaja, that's all time, last 12 months. So, yeah, he's on the decline a little bit. He doesn't really play that much, and when he does, he doesn't really do too much. So, Shaughnessy, all time, pretty average. 12 months, though, slowly improving. 6 months, a little bit. Last month, nothing. Yep. Again, I think somebody who's maxed out, maybe a little bit on their potential ability. We'll see. What about success stories? So Hamer, I mean, that's all time for him. But if you look at the last 12 months, you can see it's a lot more positive than all time, which is really good. And I think he's going to keep improving, I think, across the board slowly, because I don't think he's going to be able to get too good, but he's already good enough. Like, I'd be okay with him on the side of a back three trying to stay up in the Premier League. Like, I'd be okay with it. Not delighted, but I'd be okay with it. Kieran Gilligan, so he's been a pretty good success story, hasn't he, for us? And if you look at the last 12 months, he's just stagnating a little bit, maybe. He's come on off the bench quite a lot, hasn't started maybe as many games he would like, and his average match rate isn't great because he's probably not quite good enough for the level. Like, if we would have stayed down last year, I think he'd be a really good League One midfielder this year. And he's probably next year going to be an okay, like, relegation battling championship player. But we'll see. Bobby Campbell's improved quite a bit since he started with us. Last 12 months, his concentration's gone up quite a lot. It's gone up by 2 attributes fully there. And he's slowly improving with us all the way through the season, despite the fact he hasn't played too much. So that's good. There he is. There's our success story. 7-year contracted Terry Taylor, improving all over the shop. That's all time. That's going to be your 12 months. That's going to be your 6 months. Really good player. And what's his valuation at these days? Yeah, quite a lot. What's his release clause? 3.7 from a high division club. Hopefully nobody activates that, because he's really, really good. Probably our best player, along with Powell, I would say. Most effective player, along with Powell, I would say. But yeah, it looks really good. Carriel, terrible. See you later, son. Keller Dunn has been really average. I mean, I'm just hoping that he doesn't stagnate too much. I mean, he's done little improvements actually in the last 12 months. To be fair, if you're looking at that, he has responded well to the new regime, but that previous training program and him learning a new position, I think, ruined him a little bit. But I suppose the last 12 months has been pretty good. 6 months, not as good. But yeah, he doesn't ever play too well. Average rating 6.64, you see. Yeah. Charlie Lackey all time looks like he has been improving there. 12 months, he's been really good, hasn't he, last 12 months, especially mentally and physically. Not so much technically, but everything else, that's actually noticeable for two of the midfield players there. They've sort of struggled a little bit in this department. Johnny Smith, all-time, terrible. 12 months is good. 6 months is good again. Again, like his pacing acceleration's really bounced back pretty well. I think he's improved and he's stabilised a bit, so that's good. Joe Powell, success story. That's all-time for Joe. He's looking really, really good. Last 12 months, though, which is the most important thing for us. Yeah, again, he's looking like he's improving really well. Mentally and physically good. Technically, pretty decent across the boards. Penalty taking doesn't really matter, as an example. Not as long shots, not so much really, but yeah, looking really good as Joe Powell. He's one of our best players by a country mile and probably our most effective player along with Terry Taylor. Like, if Joe Powell's out for a long period of time, we tend to drop points in that period, right? Lewis Moore, all-time, not great. 12 months, not great either. Yeah, Sam Winnell. I may as well change his name to Sam Winnell, but a year before. He really is so much on the same trajectory. So go look at him actually back-to-back here. Sam Winnell as well then. All-time. It's so similar. It's so similar. He's just a year older. He's just a year down the line. Hopefully we can get strikers in that can do their job early enough. And on that note, here we go. Victor. We'll start with Victor. Victor all-time. Really good all-time. Last 12 months. Responded really well to the training program. The last 6 months has gone down a little bit in these departments. And the last month in particular. But yeah, really, really good stuff. So what's interesting though there is it's trending down, for example, the last month. What's interesting is the players have trended down in their technicals quite a bit when we've had the England DNA match week. So what I'm thinking is that when we get to that sort of like period where the actual schedule ends, rather than putting the England DNA in, the week schedule in, maybe we just let the assistant take over or have to come up with something different. But I'm thinking that this actually is holding them back in development quite a bit. So I'm pretty certain that's what's happened there with some of them. And last but not least, John King. Look at this. Wow. What an unbelievable turnaround. That's incredible. To improve that much in a calendar year is incredible. Like, from where he started from, it's not like he was a wonder kid and we knew he was a wonder kid. That is all down, I think, to combination of the facilities, training program, the fact he got some first team football, then the style of football suited him, so he was able to achieve success in the first team, even though he's playing way above maybe his level. He looks incredible, doesn't he? That is all time. There's your 6 month, and there's your last month. Even the last month, he's been improving. Look at that. That's really, really good. I'm excited about him. I think he could be a usable striker for us for at least 7, 8, 9 years in the Championship and maybe even Premier League. He could be a good backup. But yeah, really good. I think the quicker he gets, the more use he's going to be to us in the Championship. Like, he went through quite a bad spell there where he didn't score for, like, maybe the last 7 games of the season. And I just think he's not quite quick enough that when he's played through, like, side-by-side by a defender, Victor can go through and get a one-on-one. It's like John King can score, but you need to create the opportunities for him to do so, whereas Victor can sort of do it on his own, as can Molten Winnell in a much lesser way. So he's just on that sort of cusp of being a top-level player for us. I'm not going to click all time on these players for the last 12 months, because that's what we're looking at here, is these youngsters, how have they improved in the last calendar year? So Cameron Gilbert, one of our backup centre-backs, he could be like our 5th or 6th choice emergency centre-back next season, I would say. He's not great, but he could be. Okay, so William here, in our youth team, again, he's a real player at the start of the save. I think he could be a backup striker for us next season. As you can see in the last 12 months, he's really improved quite a bit. He's gotten quicker. He could almost like do a job off the bench as a striker, as the in-behind striker, if he was really needed. I mean, he's not great, but like he could, at the very least, not completely cost us the game, And that's what we're starting to need at this point. Just some players in the squad that can do that. Maybe not so much wing back, probably as a backup striker, emergency striker. So Randy, who's one of our new gen centre backs from last season's intake, has improved very minorly. Not the best, so he's probably not ready for a first team opportunity that soon. So yeah, same for this Gary Gray as well. I don't think he's going to be good enough anytime soon. But okay, so William Tamman is a youngster in the first team that was there again at the start of the game. And if you look there, he's improved a lot, and mostly, though, in the last 12 months. So the first year on the first regime, he didn't do too much, but this year he really has. He's really quick. And if you're going to be a poor centre-back for me in this team, at least be quick, then I can play you on the side. And if you get caught out of position a little bit here and there, it doesn't matter as much, because at least you can then go and engage. Dribbling of 1 is not the best. Composure of 2, but maybe, I don't know. He's at least going to get a contract for me at this point. If he can improve at that level again next season, in like 2 years' time, he might be okay as like a 6th choice centre-back, which is, it doesn't sound great, but that's what we're dealing with in this save. Ronnie Wakeling as a pivot player, like, he looks like he could be okay. He needs to improve a little bit technically, but he's got his passing at +1 and that kind of stuff, right? He needs to improve a little bit technically, but he could be a really, really good backup pivot player for us. And again, somebody who's there at the start of the save. And last but not least, Sam Heller. Sam Heller was our one first-team player from the last intake that I thought could play in the first team in a couple of years' time. He's on course of almost being ready. And then this year it'll be the centre-back that came in our intake as well. So, yeah, again, looking at the technicals, his passing has got up and so has his tackling. He's not as bad on his technicals, but it's noticeable in the last last 6 months, but in particular the last month, a lot of the technicals are going down from the England DNA schedule. So I'm definitely going to look to change that in the last few months. That's what this save is all about. It's about me going through things, testing things out and seeing how things go, and then changing things and adjusting things as we go through to improve it year on year. So I think that's what we found out, was that in the training regime, that sort of like post mid-March onwards, I need to be better at how we utilize that period, because I think it's had a slight negative impact. And it's okay in a way that we want to get the players ready for like match ready in terms of playing for results. But that didn't help us here. Look at this. Look at the state of this. Pretty much as soon as we stopped our regime, that's when the results tanked all the way down, which is quite interesting. It coincided with me changing the team, don't forget as well. So it isn't just down to the schedule, but it's noticeable anyway, isn't it? It's a noticeable little trend there. Okay, let's finish off with the end of season review then. Let's put myself, where should we go? We should go back over here. Let's go back over here. This season's results, finished 15th. It did pretty good, I think, overall. Moments to remember, I'm not really sure I remember too many of these. I don't remember that game, actually. The 5-1 was pretty impressive. I don't remember the goal of the season, to be honest. Finances, everything's going up, which is nice. Bank balance isn't great because of the wages and the contracts we re-sign players to. Most popular players here, or shirts sold rather, Killer Dunn's in there. That's interesting. Wouldn't expect that. How we lined up, that looks pretty accurate. I mean, they've got these all around. Maybe Shaughnessy should be in there, but they've gone with Borthwick Jackson instead. Killer Dunn, right wing back. Okay, looks all right. John King got in the team. Love that. Accolades, fan player of the seasons, Victor, young player of the seasons, Hamer 24, I never like it when they give it to a 24-year-old. Goal of the season to Keller Dunn, okay, top goal scorers, Victor, of course. Power most assists for 15, most player of the match awards goes to Victor, highest average rating goes to Victor, most passes completed per 90 goes to Shaughnessy. Hamer got 13 yellows, 2 reds, legend, and youngest goal scorer in the club's history goes to John King, legend of the club, can't wait for him to retire as a Premier League winner. History of the making, yep. Until dynamic manager timeline. Going up. Good impression. Yeah, there you are. End of season review is done. Okay, now that is going to conclude the episode. Going into next season, what I think we'll do is come back in the first week of September. That way, we can still do 2 matches. We can still show you the team and how they're getting on. But then we can also do that first sort of 3-month review of the training as a start point. And then maybe we can do it that way rather than doing the first game of the season, because that doesn't really matter too much here, does it? And it won't be too many games in anyway. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll come back first week of September. We'll get to play a couple of matches, review the first block of training for the first 3 months, and see if anybody has improved in that time. Unlikely that they have, but you never know. But that is going to do the episode. All I can say is a massive thank you to everybody for watching and supporting the series. I appreciate every single one of you that likes, comments, and if you subscribe, that's even better. And if you have been subscribed already, massive thank you to you. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I'll see you all next time.